believe in God?
Yes, I believe in God. And I think the biggest play on the devil is to waste time. That specific day, during the same moment that I walked in, Les Brown walks in, and I look at him and I remember saying to him, like, you're real. And he touches my face and he's like, young man, you look like me when I was younger. I looked at him and I said,
Andy, thank you so much, man, for being here. I really appreciate taking the time. We had a lot to talk about, and you know, you're one of the persons that I really admire for the success that you have. And Sergio has been telling me, hey, you gotta interview Andy. He has a lot to give, and I'm happy to hear it. Then thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, man. It's a blessing to see your growth and to be in your presence, man.
No, man, my pleasure. So of course, you know, there's gonna be viewers that maybe they don't know you. So tell me a little bit of your story so they can get to know you a little bit better.
Born and raised on the East Coast, smallest state in the country. And I was raised in the smallest city in that state, full around drug dealers, gangbangers, and violence. And at 19 years old, someone who believed in me said to me, Andy, dude, I think you should become an entrepreneur.
Were you selling drugs?
I did sell drugs for a
You
little
did?
bit.
Okay.
Yeah, for a little bit. But in that environment that you don't really have much choices. You're either selling drugs or working at Wendy's. And I did both. And I chose not to do Wendy's. So I got into a different environment. But I remember one day that my dad was like really on my ass about drugs and so on and so forth, and he was really like, dude, you can't be doing this lifestyle and so forth. And I looked at the TV. I was watching TV and it was Cops, and it was one of those shows that they
They scare you?
they caught somebody, and then it just scared me straight. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do something else. So I took that same energy and I put it towards business, and I started a business. Cool.
So when was this? What year?
So this is about 10 years ago. So in 2012, 11 and 12, I was selling drugs. That was around 17, 18 years old. And then 19, I'm working at a cell phone store, which is Metro PCS. I'm working at a Metro PCS dealership. And my buddy says, Andy, I believe in you. I think you should open up your own cell phone dealership. I looked at the dude. I said, dude, you're crazy. I'm black. I'm overweight. I'm a college dropout. And I'm from a small town. There's no way I can be successful to open up a small business. And sometimes you got to take on someone else's belief before you take on yours. So I listened to him, and then I became the first T-Mobile franchise under the age of 20. I was the youngest T-Mobile franchise owner.
Under 20. Wow. And what makes you, like, when you were selling drugs and you know, like trying to make a change, what were you using as an influence? Like, you were reading, you were like getting some sort of advice from someone, or what were you into?
I was listening to a lot of personal development. In my company, in the cell phone store, I call that company Progression Wireless. And it was about, my thought process at the time was like, I'm going to create a company that's going to change my whole hood. Because I was listening to motivational speakers like Les Brown and Tony Robbins. So like getting pumped up in the morning and so forth. So I said, hey, I'm going to create a company where people are going to progress daily in my company. I'm going to change my whole hood, and I'm going to use this business as a tool to change my environment. So it was that type of content that was in my ear every morning, like wake up, hustle, grind, and then ultimately, hey, you can become a business owner, you can make money, and you can own your own time and have freedom and so on and so forth. So I decided to become an entrepreneur, man, and leave the rat race of corporate, working a 9 to 5. But I ended up, so I ended up becoming an entrepreneur.
Cool. So you're a college dropout. You went to high school?
I went to high school, graduated high school. And then my mom said, hey, you got to go to college. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I remember just being, you know, not having a clear direction. I was working my job at the cell phone store as an employee before I owned one. And my mom said, you got to go to college. So she's like, I'll pay for your tuition to get in. So I said, okay. So she paid for my tuition to get in. And I remember this one scenario. I was listening to Eric Thomas, motivational speaker. I'm in the parking lot of college, about to go in. I've been in it for a couple of months. There's one specific math class that I couldn't pass. And
I hate math.
I'm with you, man. And I can't pass this math class. And I go to all these different campuses, and I'm like, I can't figure out the math. And mind you, it's not even college math. It was the math to get into the college math. So I'm in the beginning. I'm only like two semesters in. And I'm listening to Eric Thomas saying, like, you got to be great, you know, go after your dreams, go after your vision. And it was in that moment, in that parking lot, where I couldn't pass this math class. And I just said, you know what, I'm going to quit on that.
Screw this.
screw that, and I'm gonna become a boss. And I started my cell phone store the day after.
So you basically reprogramming your mind, you know, becoming an entrepreneur and you creating this next step businesses that you were working on. What other businesses do you develop after?
So I did that for a year and a half, 2 years, and then I left that industry. I made a good amount of money. I made 7 figures in that business, and I exited that business and I moved to the West Coast. So I moved to California from the East Coast, and then I started I retired for a bit, and
you took a break or something?
That's a better term. I took a break, but I had more money than I can handle. I was spending money, and I didn't have money coming in, and I never really looked at the bank account. I had enough cash that every time I swiped, there was always cash there, until I remember so I took a break, exited that business, moved to California, started living in California. A year and a half in, I'm still spending my money from the cell phone store. And one day, like, my card declines. And I'm like, how much do I actually have, you know? It took me a year and a half to deplete all the money that I had. But I was living luxuriously. And then, and that's when I realized, like, hey, funds were low. I think I had like less than 10 grand in the bank. And then I was like, you know what, dude, I got to go out back and hustle. So I said, what do I want to do? I said, I want to become a motivational speaker. And I want to motivate people.
Okay.
So I went on YouTube, search how to become a motivational speaker, and I see content from a specific motivational speaker, Les Brown. He's the guy that was listening to my ear.
Yeah, Les Brown's awesome. Yeah.
He's amazing. And I follow an ad. That's how important, like, ads are life-changing. Like, when you see an ad on Facebook, ad on Instagram, it's life-changing, because I saw an ad. It brought me to a web page. That web page asked me for my name, email, my phone number. They got my information. Their salesperson calls me, and then the salesperson says, hey, if you want to join a Les Brown program, it's $5,000, and he's going to teach you how to become a speaker.
Oh, wow.
And I got less than 10 grand. I'm like, shoot, you know, $5,000, man. And I remember that feeling that I had when I started my first business, like how terrifying.
Yeah,
I'm sure you felt it, right?
that feeling of scarcity, like,
You're like, can I actually do this? So I said to the guy, I said, let me think about it. And he's like, what is there to think about? This is what you've been dreaming about. Like, take action now. And he enrolled me, and I said, the only way I'm gonna sign up is if I can come to your office tomorrow. Oh, wow. I was in LA, and then if you go on spirit.com, you can get a flight for $99.
Does it just go there?
So I said, hey, I got a flight from LA to Miami for $99. I'm gonna come to your office tomorrow. I wanna see you in person. He said, if you sign up, you'll do it. So I paid $5,000 to him, and then $99 for the flight. Went out to Miami the next day, didn't even have a place to stay. Got to the office, and when I went to the office, I went to go shake hands and meet the people who was behind the Les Brown, the brand, and so on and so forth. Ironically, that same day, Les Brown had an event. He doesn't live in Miami, but he had an event in Miami. He lives in Ohio, and he stopped by the office. He never goes to the office. He may go to the office at that time 2-3 times a year. He'll go to the office. Oh, wow. That specific day, during the same moment that I walked in, just to go see the infrastructure and see the people, Les Brown walks in just for a quick, 30-minute pop-in. I happen to be there. Wow. And I look at him.
Right moment, right time.
Right moment, right time. I look at him, and I remember saying to him, like, you're real. And you're real. He touches my face, and he's like, young man, you're look like
blessed.
He says, young man, you look like me when I was younger.
Okay.
And I looked at him and I said, you sound like YouTube.
You sound like a guy on YouTube.
You sound like a guy on YouTube. And I stayed in the place, man. And then next thing you know, I'm working for him, and I'm helping him sell up his seminars and fill up his seminar rooms. And I got a role in his organization. And then we traveled on tour for the next year and a half. And that was that journey. So the next business was a seminar business.
Where I
started hosting seminars.
Okay. And then, but you were doing your own seminars after, or in that process?
I was doing it for him.
Okay.
It was strictly for him. No one knew who Andy Audate was.
Okay.
I did it only for him, where I would travel around the country. I would be in New York. I would be in Florida. I would be in Texas. I'll be all over the country, West Coast, East Coast. And they would drop me off a few weeks before his event. And my job was to go to small businesses and speak fill up the room for him to come and speak. So that way, when he shows up in 4 weeks, he has a full audience.
Right. Oh, wow.
So I did that for 2 years. And then that was my second business. And then in October of, I forget what year, it might have been like 2017, 2018. But I remember it was fall. I was in Dallas, Texas. I just filled up a seminar for him. And I was just like, dude, I'm ready to do it myself. And I remember that day I declared I'm going to host my own my own conference. And then I started my own seminar business under Andy Audate and started my own brand.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. Well, I think like working for him, it gives you a lot of experience, you know, in that industry, like creating the seminars and all that. And then you have to create it yourself, your own events, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then you wrote a book, right?
I wrote a book.
Okay. How many seminars have you done?
How many seminars have I done?
But like your seminars.
I mean, between online and in person, I mean, nearly 300.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot. That's a lot of seminars.
Yeah.
Cool. And I don't know much about the business of seminars and all that stuff. I don't do that. But and what makes you open the new business? Because I know you were already in a completely different business, right? So how was that transition
Between the cell phone and the seminar?
Yeah.
I mean, it was actually hard because when I moved moving to the West Coast and started this idea of like becoming a speaker and so forth, AT&T stopped me right beforehand. So I was with T-Mobile. AT&T stopped me. They invited me to New York and they brought me into this executive suite. Essentially what happened is that I was the young innovator in my region. I was a young innovator. They knew who I was. And out of 4,000 locations for a specific finance company, my company was number 4.
Wow.
Out of 4 locations. AT&T stopped me and they brought me up and they offered a kid, dude, I'm 21 at the time. They offered me $120,000 to open up 3 or 4 stores with them. And I said no. And that experience let me know like what my gut feeling was about moving and taking on this mission of doing something different. I didn't know if there was money in it. I didn't know how to make money in it. But I felt a spiritual calling per se. Okay. Like God is telling me like, don't get with the fluffy stuff, focus on what I'm asking you to do. And God was like, make a move, start this business and pour into other people. Okay. And that was my determining factor.
Just giving value to other people.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. And then after the Progetta, your company now, how do you start that? Like when was actually when you start doing that business?
Well, Progetta is a marketing software company. It's an all-in-one marketing platform. And inside of our software, we have a website builder, marketing emails, text messages, sequences, and sales automation tool. So people use it to generate leads, get sales appointments, and get paid. When I was marketing my events, the old way was I had to go in person and do a bunch of trainings and meet with people. And what I would do is I would pass around clipboards and I would capture people's name, their email, their phone number. I would go back to my hotel, put it onto a Google spreadsheet. I would manually call each person, manually email each person, text each person by hand, and I would have spreadsheets all over because my mentors, had those type of technology, those type of systems. And I knew in my head, I was like, there's new softwares, there's ability to make it work. So I would get the email software and I would plug it in with and connect it through APIs and this robust technology with website software. And I would have this other phone calling software and I would have to kind of combine it all together. And then what I did was I said, this is not the most efficient way, but it's working. And it costs a lot of money to be able, it costs thousands to be able to plug in all these other softwares. During the pandemic, in having all of these softwares working, it worked very well for me. And I transitioned from inspiring people to teaching people how to make money and how to market their business a little bit before the pandemic. When I was trying to communicate my system with all these other softwares, it was so confusing to people.
Yeah, a lot of people, they're just business owners. They don't know nothing about technology and CRMs and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, so you create this system.
So I partnered up with a technology company they'll manage the infrastructure on the back end and we'll be the front end. Okay. So we'll give all the processes, the tools, the playbook for you to generate leads, get sales appointments in one software rather than having a bunch of different softwares plugged in together. And I had a full-time tech team managing my back end back then. Today, with Progetta, you can just have one software to manage your emails, your text messages, your phone calls, your website, all in one place. Yes.
And now with this CRM, your company, what kind of businesses do you involve in the system?
Like what kind of businesses are you using it?
Yeah. What kind of companies can you use it?
I haven't seen a company that can't use it.
So basically, anyone
who needs sales appointments on their sales calendar is going to use our software. Okay. So if your customers are on social media, on Instagram, and you want to generate their name, email, phone number, and book a sales appointment, you'll be the person that'll be using Progetta to use in your business.
Cool. That's awesome, man. So I'm gonna buck up a little bit. So what do you believe in? You believe in God? What do you believe? You believe in God?
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
You're Christian?
Yeah.
Okay. And what do you think about that in these days? Like, with all this crazy war going on and this change of genders and all that stuff. So it's hard, like what's going on out there.
That's a fucking spin. that's a spin.
Yeah,
but it is happening, and it is relevant today.
Yeah. So what do you believe? Like, how do you feel yourself in that area, like the spiritual way?
I think that when we see the war, you see the change on gender, that's a lack of God, and God is not present in that whether that's town, that city, or that person.
Yeah.
God is not actually present, and there's such a confusion that the person that I am today, the way that things are today, I'm so confused. The individual is so confused because of the lack of God that they're saying, my freedom must be the other side. So the person, my belief is that if someone says, hey, I'm a man today, I grew up as a man, and because there's no God in the relationship, there's no relationship with God, I don't feel a sense of freedom, I don't feel a sense of truth. I'm so confused in this that it has to be because I'm a man, let me go become a woman.
So trust me, the reason I'm asking these questions is because there's a lot of people out there, like they just wanna, people successful like you, and they want to find ways to become better and successful in creating wealth in many other areas, right? And I believe that that's a huge part. And when you told me that you were Christian, I was like, I didn't know that about you. So that's pretty cool. And now it's becoming something more like we see it more often out there with entrepreneurs and bringing the spiritual part out, and showing. What do you take any courses, coaching with other person who inspires you, or what do you do to stay driven?
I'm continually in masterminds and coaching programs, but most importantly, I think for me, it's who I spend time with. Like I spend time with you, I spend time with Sergio, I spend time with other people who are very much like myself, who are driven and creating a level of success and want to create a future. So we're in a similar mastermind. I know you just joined, congratulations. Like we're in a similar mastermind, and it's about putting myself in other people's shoes. I'll give you an example of the mastermind that I'm in, that one of the conversations that I brought up, that I said to the group, I said, hey, from being a 9-to-5 employee to a 9-to-5 worker to a small business owner, which many of you are, a lot of people from the internet is going to identify with this. They're going to look at a 9-to-5 employee and they're going to say, no, I'm not going to be in the rat race. I'm going to, get my time freedom and so forth. So there's kind of like a subtle look down upon this idea of working corporate or working a 9-to-5 or being a college graduate. A small business entrepreneur, they understand that.
Yeah.
The question that I asked my group, I said, hey, what do you think a billionaire is saying about us as small business owners?
That's a good question.
When the billionaires are at the table and they're like, we look at the way that we look at a 9-to-5 employee and we're like, yeah, I'm not going to clock in. I got my time freedom.
There's millionaires,
Yeah. But a billionaire, like what are they saying and what are they looking at and how are they saying like, oh, look at this small business owner. They're going to call their lead, or they're going to get stressed about a customer complaint. Like what's the mindset about that small business that a billionaire has when they're looking upon the majority of America?
Wow.
That information is not on social media.
There's not.
What you see on social
media? Where you get it from? Like, what do you research or your books or whatever you do?
You're at the tables, man. It's not on social media.
It's not on social media.
Yeah. It's not.
So it's just with other people, or meeting entrepreneurs.
Like I was with a black billionaire, and his company does over $1 billion. And I remember just spending time with him. I got a chance to meet him at a conference in 2018, and I got granted a ticket to this event, and I was at the highest tier of this specific conference, over 9,000 people at this event. I'm in the VIP room, and this billionaire, or someone who makes over $1 billion in their business, walks in. He's a black guy. Shake hands. We build a relationship over time. Over the years, he's coached me on marriage, get my wife. I remember I called him when I was about to propose to my wife, and I asked him for his advice and so on and so forth throughout the journey. So he's a great friend of mine. And the way that he thinks is completely different. His thought process of business is putting people to work and giving people money-making opportunities versus going to work himself. He's not the one dealing with the customer, right? He's not the one calling the customer, calling the lead, so on and so forth. He's the one putting people to work. And I'm questioning, my question has been, what is the billionaire thinking about us as a small business entrepreneur?
Do you have your own response to that question?
Not yet.
Not yet? That's a pretty good question. Sergio, what do you think about that? Oh, wow.
That made it all worth it.
Yeah. This is going to be the highlight. This is going to be the highlight. What the billionaires are thinking.
I think it depends on the questions that you ask.
Yeah.
What questions are we asking ourselves? And to help us grow our business, to help us create our lifestyle, what questions are we going to ask ourselves? And the
question with trying to find an answer with an action as well, right? How do you
a question of how could you? I want you to think of how could you think of the most craziest idea, and it's like, how could you? Yes, I believe in God, and I think the biggest play on the devil is to waste time. And so I noticed that every time that I want to expand onto something, that there's an attack that takes my time.
Yeah.
It could be an issue in the business. It could be an issue in my relationship. It could be an issue with an employee. I've had issues with employees. I've had issues with customers. And it's like, as I'm trying to expand, there's this attack. And then I focus on the small thing when I'm trying to get this big thing.
Yeah.
So if someone says, if you're saying to yourself today, and you're a business owner, and you're saying to yourself, my goal is to get to $10,000 a month, right? The question I would like you to ask is expand that and say, how could you get to 100,000? You see, when someone says, how do I get it to $10,000 a month, they spend the next year and a half trying to get 20 customers at $500 a month, right? So that's what they spend the next year and a half doing. They spend the next 2 years doing. And then, but the question is how could you do $1 million a year? How could you do $1 million a month?
$1 million a month.
$1 million a month.
Oh, wow.
That type of question is going to create a different response. You're not gonna hustle for the next year and a half. If someone said, hey, how do I get to $10,000 a month? They're gonna spend the next 2 years, like I said, they're gonna hustle to get 20 customers at $500. Or if you ask yourself, how do I get $1 million a month?
So go for the bigger picture.
$1 million a month, they're gonna say, I can't possibly hustle for 20 customers or 500 customers. I can't do it by myself. I got to create something else. I got to create something different. And then now it takes you on a whole different path based on the question. You see, ChatGPT, it's an amazing tool, but the amazingness of the software comes in with the input that you give it, the question that you give it.
Yeah.
So if we ask ourselves different questions, we're going to get different results.
Right.
And I think the biggest play on the devil right now on entrepreneurs.
Well, your mindset, man.
The biggest play on entrepreneurs right now on the devil is putting a bunch of bullshit small problems in front of you that you can't think big. You can't possibly expand because you're in a place of dealing with the little dust that's in front of you.
I love that mindset. So for someone that it's actually out there, trying to grow a business and trying to develop this mindset, what will be your advice to them? What can they do? Read courses? What will you say to them?
Get around people who can expand your mindset.
Yeah.
Dude, what is your mind set on? What? Two different words. Mind set.
Yeah.
What is your mind set on? And I think that's the difference.
That's a question too. Where's my mindset?
Yeah. What is your mind? Where's your mindset on? Right? Are you just so consumed? A year will go by. I saw a post that was less than 80 days left in 2023, and I remember celebrating with my wife 2023, New Year, right? And I'm like, what the hell? We already have less than 80 days. For the year, what has your mindset been on? And then you start to see and start notice, hey, the last 5 years, I've been focusing on these small pebbles. I've been smoking on this, looking at this dust and small things. Get in different rooms. So if you can get in different rooms, you'll see.
Get close to the money. Get close to that kind of people.
Get close. In a couple of years ago, before Progetta, I used to market another technology company, software company. And the CEO sat me down And I said to my team, the people I had a relationship at the company, I said, hey, I'm going to be leaving working with you guys and stop marketing you guys. I'm going to do my own thing. I just want to have a relationship like you. We've done a lot of business together over the years. I want to make sure that it's cordial and like we're very clear. It got all the way up to the CEO, the CEO of this company. The company is $100 million company. And I was with them for this journey as they've grown and expanded. And the CEO said, hey, Andy, if you don't leave, we'll give you stock of the company.
Oh, wow.
So I went from an affiliate and an influencer to the point of like, he's like, hey, giving me his old vision.
Give me a share, yeah.
This is how much the shares are going to be worth when we go public. This is what is going to opportunity that's in front of you. And I remember being on there, and I went to my wife afterwards, and I was like, this is what they're offering. Like, it's such like an amazing opportunity.
It was a good offer, yeah.
Dang, it's an amazing opportunity. Like they're going to give me stock of, they already have over 100,000 users of this software company. And I'm really going to I would really start pushing it at that point because now I'm an owner of the company. Yeah. And my wife just really fed into my soul and was like, you can do something much bigger.
Oh, wow.
With Progetta. And then we went all in on Progetta after that.
Your wife here. So.
Yeah, my wife is behind the camera. Yeah, we went all in on Progetta after that. And we took it from nothing to now we really have customers who are saying, hey, hundreds of customers who are saying, wow, Progetta. Yeah. And I want to push Progetta. I want to hone in on Progetta and expand Progetta. So after seeing him build a $100 million company, I said to my team, I said, guys, you know what we're doing?
We can do it. Yeah.
We're building a $100 million company. Progetta is a $100 million company. And now we have strategic plans in order to make it a $100 million company. Okay. So everything that was in my face before, I've let it go. And I'm focusing on the $100 million company.
Oh, wow. That's awesome, man. And, having your wife supporting the business and supporting you, of course, that's a big part of whatever, everything that you do, right? So let's talk about a little bit of your book. I know you have a couple books, right? Like two? Okay. What are the books about? Like, what do you talk about?
The main book that I wrote is, and I have more coming out, but the main book that I wrote is called No More Average.
No More Average. Okay.
And it's about everything that I've shared with you so far. It's about getting around the right group of people, the right circle, to expand your mind. I come from an area of drugs dealers that people who would walk in the snow for $10. Like I'm talking about like you got a little sack of weed or whatever, and you're going down the street, or you're going a mile and a half down the street in the snow, blizzard, because you need $10. Like that's what I saw. That was what normal was to me. When I was 18, I worked for somebody. And he owned a cell phone dealership, and he was expanding it. Today, it's a multi-million-dollar enterprise, but back then it was only 8 or 10 locations back then. And so I saw him grow. Today, he has over 150 locations, over 700 employees working for him. But back then, I mean, it must have been like less than 50. Wow. So I saw him grow this business, and he's a black man just like myself. And I said, okay, I can go out and hustle, and that's why I started my own dealership, my own cell phone dealership. I had 4 locations with T-Mobile. Now, I transition, I'm spending time with people who have $100 million software companies, and I'm like, oh, this is what you have to go through. This is your pain points. This is your mindset. You're giving other people opportunities. It's a different play. It's a different mindset. Seeing what he did, I want to recreate this, and that's the current phase of my life that I'm in right now.
And everything, that story's in the book? Like all that?
All the way up to the cell phone store is in the book.
Okay.
But the whole point of that, me sharing those points of like how I got in front of different relationships is because if you look at what average is, like think about math, average is the median, it's the middle of everything. So if you are average, you're spending time amongst a social group that you're in the middle of. Yeah. If you look at your friends, you look at the people you spend time with, you're within a couple $100,000 of income from them. You're not making $100,000 spending time with the person that's making $10 million a year, right? So you're within a couple $100,000 worth. So to expand, it's about getting out of different social circles. So if I was, let's say from an income standpoint, and it's not even about the money, but money is a great measure of success.
It's a vehicle.
Right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So if I was making less than 50 grand a year, to go from 50 to 100, I'm going to spend time with the 6-figure earners. All right, I'm going to get in that social circle. If I'm making 6 figures a year, I'm going to get in touch with the 7-figure earners. If I'm making 7 figures a year, I'm going to get in touch with the 7, 8, or 9-figure earners. And no more average simply means that you're elevating amongst different groups. So that way you're never in the same social circle. You're never in this, in the average sum. It's not about like diminishing your friends or anything. It's about recognizing that you're constantly up level growth. That's what my book is about. No more average.
That's cool. And where can they buy it?
NoMoreAverageBook.com.
Oh, even you have the website and everything. Cool. Is it Amazon as well?
And the Amazon.
Okay, cool. You talk about success. What success means to you, like with all this knowledge that you have. What actually you put, like simple words.
Closing your eyes, imagining the most vivid experience of your life that God has for you, and creating it.
Okay.
If you close your eyes and you say, what does my life look like in without all my vices, without all the defeats that I've ever had, without the limiting beliefs that I have, God, what do you have in store? The best imaginable life that you can create, that I can create right now, and then creating it. That's success.
Okay. Oh wow. Got that?
It's just that simple.
Pretty cool. Love that. Yeah.
Just that simple.
Let's talk about the transformation.
Transformation. Okay. Oh yeah. Let's talk about that too.
So
that's part of success as well. I see that as success as well.
And it's a consistent journey. And I don't think anyone has ever gotten to a point where they feel like, if you spend time with the most successful people, like you're very successful, but you're always working. If you actually become successful, you lose. It's a crazy, it's an interesting dynamic, because we're trying to experience this thing, but if you attain it, you end up losing because there's nothing else to attain. So what is it that we're striving for? What is it that we actually want? Like, if you close your eyes and you imagine a certain lifestyle, you're like, hey, I'm gonna be married, I'm gonna have drive this car, I'm gonna have this much money in the bank, and so on and so forth, and this is gonna be like my lifestyle. This is what success means to me. I get there. And when you get there, what's gonna ultimately happen? You're gonna experience this feeling of like, what the fuck? What is this? And then that's when you get depression. So when you look at success, what is it that we're actually wanting to experience? I don't think it's success that we want. I think what we want is progression. It's that feeling of progressing towards something. Because once you get to that one place, then you're gonna say, hey, I wanna do something else, and then you're gonna get to another place. And my wife would ask me, for example, she would be like, hey, at what point are we gonna make it? I'm like, we're not. We're not gonna make it. We're not gonna make it. We're playing a game of progression. So what Progetta is, all this is progress daily. I will have it on my wristband. Progress daily, because it's not success that I'm chasing, it's progression. So I close my eyes, I imagine the best version of my life, and then I progress towards it. Hit it, boom, close my eyes again, imagine the best version of my life, progress towards it, boom, hit it, close my eyes. And then I leave a trail of what other people will look at my life and say, that's success.
That is,
because that to them is their point of progression.
Right.
So the person who's from the hood, who's 16 years old like I was, and living in an environment saying, yo, Andy's life today, running my company by itself right now, Progetta, we started less than 18 months ago, is valued at $1.9 million.
Oh, wow.
The 16-year-old version of Andy would say, dude, that's successful. Oh, shoot. Your boy is successful, man. You're married, you got your wife, you got your little puppy, you got your Mercedes-Benz. You live in a lifestyle, you got 6 figures of cars. You live in a lifestyle. Dude, from where you come, that's success. But then you get there and you look up and you're like, damn, there's actually another level. And my next level happened to be my body. And that's what Sergio was talking about.
That's cool, man. Love that. So let's talk about transformation, what he was saying. I know you went through a journey, like, changing your lifestyle and healthy,
I was over 300 pounds in the beginning of this year. I was over 300 pounds. Today I'm 266. So almost 40 pounds that I dropped.
And 40 pounds?
Almost 40 pounds, yeah.
Oh, wow.
That I dropped. And when I was over 300 pounds, I said, close my eyes. And I'm like, dude, I got the money. I got the car. I'm living the dream that I imagined. But there's one thing that I'm missing. And it's this certain feeling that when I look in the mirror and I don't experience progression, that's what, I haven't experienced progression in the sense of my body. So I'll look in the mirror and I'll be like, everything around me I'm creating, but I'm missing this one element. And I think this one element negatively impacts a lot of other areas. My business is thriving, but my relationship is hurting because of the way that I see myself. My relationship with my wife, my relationship with my mom, my relationship with my little brother, my relationship with you, my relationship with the people around me, the way that I see myself when I look in the mirror, I was like, this is not who you are. And I would talk to myself and I was like, this is not who you are. And I felt like there was a missing element inside of me. And the progression in my body completely vanished. My body was not progressing at all in the beginning of this year. So fortunately, we have a mutual friend, Sergio, who's behind the camera. In the beginning of this year, he invited me to go out to one of his friends' house. And we did a breath work and we meditated, but we also did something uncomfortable, which was getting cold water. So we would jump in cold plunge. So we would jump into 50-degree water. In Las Vegas, it's over 100 degrees. Yeah. And then you go from 100 degrees body temperature to boom, 50, it's cold. I was uncomfortable, and that's the first time I really like felt like physically alive, you know, like you get that physical alive. And I think what I share with you already, the devil puts a bunch of bullshit in front of you, right? A bunch of bullshit. So in front of me,
so you lose your focus.
You lose the focus.
Yeah.
So in front of me, there was a bunch of little bullshit, a bunch of little problems that was constantly getting in the way of the life that I wanted to create. And July of this year, so Sergio introduced me in February. So February is month 2 of the month of the year. July is 7. So within 5 months, I'm going through this bullshit, right? Of seeing what's in front of me. And then I make a phone call to the mutual friend that Sergio and I have. And I said, hey, I'm ready to jump in all in, and I'm going to move in. And I'm going to live with you.
So you went to live with him?
Yeah, it's essentially like imagine like a personal trainer and a mindset coach.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And I said, I'm going to move into your house, and we're going to work out every single day. You're going to teach me how to eat, how to sleep, and essentially revive the version of me that I know is inside of me. The version of me that wants to fight, wants to go uphill mountains, wants to challenge my body. I'm constantly challenging my mind, but my body has been laying dormant. And that's the start of the transformation that I'm currently in today.
Oh, wow.
I did behind the camera, there's meal prep, you know, there's meal prep that my wife cooked for me. So yes, still in transformation.
So health is a huge part of success in all areas, right? Yeah. So imagine, you know, like, I don't think there's going to be a really good, successful person having a, you know, unhealthy life.
There's a guy on social media, man, that I would look at, man. And when he has a house that is huge. I think his company makes almost $500 million a year. He's on social media, right? And I see him, he's smoking cigarettes. He's heavily overweight. Like at the end of the video, he's like coughing, and his wife looks kind of not too far from him, right? But he has Rolls Royces. He has an abundance of cash. He has a bunch of real estate. And when I see him, I rebuke that. Like, I'm disgusted when I see that. And I realize that success is not even just about the money.
Of course.
It's about having it all.
Yeah.
The money.
You can have it all.
The health. Your amazing relationship with your wife, with your kids. To me, that's success. That is continuous progression. That's what the journey that I want to progress through. Not you made a bunch of money, but your relationship sucks. Your kids don't know who you are. You got cash in the bank, and you can't fit in your damn car.
Dude. Bradley, boom.
Yeah, I was on Bradley's dropping bombs like in the early beginning.
Oh, really?
And when I would go on there, but the whole idea is recognizing that we're playing a game of progression right now.
Progression.
We're not.
Progetta.
So Progetta.
Actually, I was gonna ask you what was the meaning of Progetta?
To progress daily.
Progress daily.
To progress daily.
Like it.
And it's just a merge of those two words, because when a small business owner really, and I look at Progetta as a spiritual business, because when a small business owner takes on this mission of business, that takes guts.
Yeah.
Man, I've seen so many the amount of business owners that just last year at my events, we've had over 6,000 people on my online events last year.
Wow.
I have so many small business owners that had come in front of me that I were teaching them how to market, how to sell, how to greet, qualify, how to present, how to close. And just the amount of small business owners that I've seen start and fail is ridiculous. It takes a certain level of guts to start a business.
Yeah.
And it takes a certain level of stupidity to start a business.
Right.
Because you're going into a place of insecurity to get the bare minimum when you get started.
Yeah.
But
I don't think we're normal.
It's not normal. You're not normal.
We're not normal.
But when you do that, you got to be on some spiritual stuff, because God is saying that if you're starting a business, there's a group of people that's going to benefit from your product or your service that's going to help his kingdom. And that's what I realized business is. So if you can start your business and you can progress daily, not about going from 0 to 100 million tomorrow, but if you can progress on a daily basis, then you're going to experience the blessing that God has for you, because the game is about staying in the game and not quitting.
Yeah.
Progetta.
Love it. Got that? Cool, man. Well, man, it was amazing where you like everything that you share. Let's say that you have maybe someone in front of the camera like here, and they want to start a business. They want to, get out of the comfort zone. Maybe they're in 9 to 5 job, whatever, but they have that feeling inside of them. They want to create something. What would you say to them?
FIAD. FIAD. Fear is a direction. If you're laying down in bed, for example, like I had a scenario where I laid down in bed in 2016, and AT&T is like, here's all this money, like we're gonna give you 120 grand, and I
love your face, man. Like,
you're a black guy coming from an impoverished area. The average household income in my area at the time was $53,000 for the house. A 2-parent household with a family. 53 grand for the whole house. And you have a corporate company. I'm talking about, they bring me up into this, me and my partner, they bring me up into this big high-rise ceiling. I go into AT&T headquarters in New York, and I see this big old office, man, and they sit me at the table, and they're like, hey, we're gonna start a new company called Cricket. It was called Cricket Wireless at the time, right? Okay. So AT&T acquired this new company, and they said, we need dealers like you. Here's $120,000. That's what we're gonna give you. I need you to open up this many locations, but you got 120 grand if you do it.
Oh.
And I'm like, no. I really said, let me think about it. But in my heart, I was like, no. And I came to California. I'm in California laying down on my bed, and I'm thinking about the next direction, which is to start speaking. True story. I had an opportunity to speak. Now, I didn't know what speaking was going to lead into, because I can see the direction that I'm going now, how God has placed me in certain elements throughout this journey. I was so focused on the end destination that I forgot, like, I needed to build up the skills and the resilience and so on and so forth. So the ability to communicate was one thing. I'm actually an introvert, we believe it or not. Like, I'm actually introvert. I want to stay at home and not do anything. But I had an opportunity to speak at my church. And true story, I'm laying down on my bed on a Saturday. I'm looking up at the ceiling, and God is telling me, I feel this in my soul. God is telling me, I need you to go to the pastor the next day and ask him to speak at the church. Go ask him to speak at your church. Go ask him to speak. I want you to become a speaker. I want you to communicate to thousands, and I'll show you how. Mind you, I'm coming from a place where, small city, small state, I got 45 Facebook friends. I don't have thousands to see or to speak to. That doesn't make sense. And I'm laying down, and God tells me like this: fear is the direction. So I'm scared to go ask my pastor the next day to go speak. And he's like, fear is the direction. It's the direction. So what that told me, every time I feel nervous, I felt scared, that feeling of fear is actually the direction that God is telling me. We all were, communicated, and we all were taught that butterfly feeling is a bad feeling. If you like a girl, you get that butterfly feeling, that's a bad feeling. You start that business, you get that butterfly nervous feeling, that's a bad feeling. Don't do it. So I had this bad feeling, but I ended up doing it the next day. I go to my pastor, and on the way to church to speak. Now, when I'm saying about speak, I'm talking about your dream, your vision. For me at the time, it was speaking. If you're about to open up a business, when I say speaking, I'm talking about your vision, your dream of starting a business. If you're talking about starting a marketing agency, your vision. If you're thinking about starting a mortgage loan business, your vision. If you're thinking about going to real estate, your vision. So when I'm talking about speaking, I'm talking about your vision. Does that make sense? So I'm on the way to church. I have this idea, this vision that I'm going to be speaking in front of the church. On the way to the church, somehow something comes over me where it's like the pastor is going to be disrespected and he's going to kick me out if I ask him. Don't ask him. So essentially what starts happening for me is I start experiencing this false sense of reality. Like all of these negative things are going to happen to me on the way to the church that I'm going to ask to speak. I go to the church. I ended up, people are getting in my way, blocking me from going to talk to the pastor. And I'm like, what the heck is all this stuff, like blockages is happening out of nowhere, trying to stop me. I get to the pastor and I say, Pastor Julian, look, I have a message I want to share with the audience. would you give me an opportunity, Pastor Julian, to share with the audience? And he looks up and he's like, you know, I would say no. But for some reason, I feel compelled to give it to you. Here's the mic. I look at the mic and I'm like, I don't fucking know what to do with this thing now. I have to go through this whole journey just to even get to this point.
Let's sing
fucking
the Lord.
go. So I grabbed the mic, man, and I just said, God, if you ask me to be here, I'm here, or I'm gonna fall flat in my face. Then I grabbed the mic, man, and I just said, hey guys, to be honest, I'm kind of nervous, to be honest, and I might mess up, but I got something I want to share. And I talked about fear and overcoming fear with your spiritual gift. Not realizing speaking was my spiritual gift. The whole room is silent looking at me. Then I start speaking. Then I start joking. Then I start playing around with them. And I start dancing with them. The whole audience is laughing, clapping. The whole audience is going wild. The pastor's in the back like, Andy, I only gave you 5 minutes. 45 minutes later, I'm like, hey, Pastor Julian, I'm done. And I give him the mic and he's like, I don't have nothing to say. And he drops the mic.
Boom.
He drops the mic. He says, I don't have anything else to say after Andy. And that's when I knew I was in play. I was in the route to my spiritual gift. So what I'm sharing with you is based off Alex's question. If you have this idea of starting a business, starting a photography business, or starting a mortgage business, or starting a real estate business, or a marketing agency, or starting a company or something of that nature, on the way to that journey, you're going to experience all this little battles and bullshit, and that keeps getting in the way. But once you get there, something's going to happen. And that is called play. And when you're in play, just imagine and progress daily. Imagine the best lifestyle and progress daily. Imagine the best lifestyle and progress daily. And between that point and for the rest of your life, you're just going to be progressing daily.
Boom. Man, thanks so much, man.
Thank you, Alex.
It was amazing. And when can they get in contact with you? Social media.
Hey, Andy Audate, ANDYAUDATE. Once again, that's Andy Audate, AUD.
You guys want to know more about his business and how he can help you? Just reach out to him.
Actually, if you're interested in our software, if you have a small business and you're looking to get new leads and you're looking to follow up and get leads, get sales appointments, and get paid, text me the word demo to my cell phone number. That's 702-730-9706. Once again, that's 702.
We're going to put the links in the bottom as well.
Put it all down in the bottom. And I look forward to having you be a part of our world.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, Alex.
Appreciate it.